beyond just those two permissions. So that will be interesting to me. They broke a couple of security models here with SoundMiner. What they did is they created one application that only requested access to the microphone, and that was it. Nothing wrong with that, whatever. They created a secondary application that they called Deliverer that only had access to the internet, okay? So SoundMiner, it was configured to know when a user dialed a series of credit card support calls, or support numbers that you would call. Let's say you want to dispute a call, or you just want to talk to your credit card company. They had a list of those numbers, and it would know, and it would wake up when one of those numbers was called. So it's also doing keystroke logging in the background. It's logging those keystrokes, so it knows that. Once you call the credit card number, it also turns on the microphone listening capability, and it can translate either you punching the number of your credit card into the phone or you speaking the number. It can translate that to data. Okay, so basically it intercepts that information. This is all proof of concept, by the way, for now. So it can intercept that data and turn that communication and turn it into data. Once it does that, it has no ability to send that data anywhere because it only has access to the microphone, like it's supposed to. The deliverer application is the application that's supposed to deliver this information to the third-party server. But how do they communicate? They're not supposed to be able to. They can't. They identified what they call covert communication channels in Android, and I'm sure that they exist in the iPhone or BlackBerry or whatever. And what it is the SoundMiner, there's a couple services in Android, like turning the volume up or down, or setting the device to vibrate, or changing permissions or settings on an actual file that is world readable, that everybody can see occur. Every application can see when they happen. SoundMiner was able to turn the device volume up and down or set the vibrate in such a sequence that Deliverer was able to determine that, oh, I'm being talked to, and it translates those sequences into credit card numbers, gets it over here, and it writes it to data, and gets the credit card numbers on the Deliverer app, and it's able to send it off to third-party servers. Okay, that's the type of research that's being done in mobile devices at this point. That security model, broken, that piece of it. We have not seen this in live malware yet, but we already know it's possible, and it's gonna happen. Okay. So what to expect? Well, I kind of wrote this slide a little bit ago, or I'd say probably about 4 or 5 months ago. So there's really not much more to expect, though. Research from 2010, which is really when all of the research on how to get access to data in Android was really when all the research was done. Part of that research is browser exploits. They're looking at browsers now. You're going to start to see drive-by browser exploits in mobile devices. They're coming down the pike, there's no question. You're going to start to see even more and more complex malware. And the stuff that we're looking at today, I think every piece of it, I may have talked about Droid Dream, which had the ability to root the device. Every sample that we're looking at now, and I think there's 7 or 8 of them currently, every one of them roots the device. Every single one of them, along with other things that they do in the background. You're going to see rootkits, covert communication channels. We already talked about that. That's going to be ways for you can put some. You used to be able to put some sort of reliance in the fact that I can at least look at the permissions and know what an application is possible, what it's capable of doing. If covert communication channels, if that becomes a way for one application to communicate with another, it's going to become infinitely more difficult for us to determine whether one application is gathering data and sending it off somewhere. It's just going to be a lot more interesting. NFC payments. Anybody aware of those? These have been going on in Asia and Europe for quite a while. These protocols haven't really been fleshed out yet. They don't really know exactly how they're going to work. As soon as they do, expect a lot of research on NFC payments and ways to get access to that data and that information. Who doesn't know what NFC payments are? Anybody? Okay, I won't explain it then. Basically, it turns your phone into a credit card. That's about it. Browser, we already talked about that. More attention on personal data leakage. And this is kind of where I think we're going to have the discussion about what is really considered personal data. Is location data personal? Is the identifying information of your device, like the IMEI and the phone number, is all that stuff personal? Really, really personal data? I don't really know. Direct attack at COM ports, and what I mean by that is direct attacks at SMS or MMS. One thing that I haven't really talked about yet is there was an attack against Symbian Symbian 9, I don't remember what it was, version 2 or something like that, that there was a vulnerability inside the SMS protocol stack or inside the SMS service in that particular release of Symbian. And an attacker was able to specially craft an SMS message that they could send it to a device. And when the SMS service started to process it, it would crash the service, it would crash the device, and it would basically, you wouldn't be able to boot it. You would have to do a hard reset on it. You'd lose all your data unless it was backed up. We were able to defend against that attack using spam filters instead of a signature because it's not really a malware. It's a direct attack. But we can use spam filters to intercept that specially crafted message. We can change the format of it and send it on so that it's no longer malicious. That was just in Symbian. Expect to see that sort of research. It's already being done in Android and in the iPhone. We know that the iPhone, I want to say 3, I don't remember exactly which release it was, but there's been several iPhone releases where there were SMS vulnerabilities that would have worked. They've been fixed, but start to see those things come to fruition as well. Lack of platform support for mobile security. We currently offer our product. We offer an AV component for BlackBerry, Symbian, Windows Mobile, Android. Notice I didn't say the iPhone because they won't allow us. They won't let us write that application. They won't let us distribute it in the official App Store. Violates their terms of services. At this point, there is no on-device AV component for the iPhone. There are a lot of people who are trying to get into the market space, and they're trying to do a lot of that analysis in the cloud. You know, it is what it is. And we're actually working on some solutions around that. But expect that no security, basically no security product for the iPhone exists. What happens if we really do start to see iPhone malware start to occur? There's no antivirus for it. There's no solution for it. And I think we saw that play out in Macs relatively recently as well, right? They didn't, nobody wrote any AV for them, and we're starting to see Apple and Mac and viruses. It's going to be quite a big problem for the iPhone, and they won't even let people address it at this point. And the increased push into the enterprise. What I mean by that is users are going to want to you're going to get deluged with different products and different devices. They want to bring their iPads, their Android tablets, their Blackberries, their Androids, all of them. They want to carry them all in there at one time, and you have to figure out, one, if you're going to let them, and two, how you're going to manage those devices and how you're going to secure them. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Yep, that's what we got. Any questions? No. Excellent. Yes, sir.
It's green. Let's go. I have a couple questions. One is...
You taking notes? Were you taking notes back there?
No.
Okay.
I would never do that. How often are you updating signatures?
Well, we actually, our process at this point is as needed, and it's because we've been able to do that. A lot of AV vendors, at least especially in the PC space, they would tell you that they're updating every 12 hours or 24 hours, whatever. I'd say up until probably the beginning of the summer, we were looking at 2 or 3 different samples a month. Right now, we're looking at 7 or 8 of them a week. So we update still as necessary and as needed, but the samples that we're looking at are starting to increase on an almost exponential basis at this point. So we don't have a regular update schedule, but as we have a signature available, as the analysis has been done on a sample, and we've tested that signature, we're going to push it. And we're going to push them. You know, if we get 2 or 3 of them done in a reasonable amount of time, 2, 3, 4 hours, then we'll push them out. But we're not on a regular update schedule at this point. We just do it as needed.
Anybody else before I go into my second question? You basically, right now, from the Apple perspective, there isn't much that you're doing, or maybe there is. Could you kind of tell us from an iPhone or an iPad perspective what the Pulse environment holds?
Well, at this point, there's MDM functionality for the iPhone, meaning you can set in the back end in the enterprise. You put the Pulse product on your iPhone. It has an SSL VPN, and to be honest with you, that's exactly how S-Mobile and Juniper got to know each other is we were interested in Juniper's SSL VPN on the mobile device, and we partnered together for about 2 years to get that working in the iPhone. And that's where they found out who we were, and we found out who they were, and they saw a use for our technology inside of their organization, and that's really how the acquisition occurred and how the relationship started. So the SSL VPN is a large component of the iPhone offering. There's MDM functionality in the back end, meaning you can set policies, password, all of that stuff. You can basically manage the devices in your enterprise. You know who's there. You know what they're doing. That's really it. But we, as the Global Threat Center, we have relationships with several service providers. What I mean is AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile in the U.S., as well as service providers around the world. You may or may not know that a lot of those service providers have Juniper equipment inside their subscriber networks. The relationship that we have, because of the type of organization we are, where our primary business is switches and routers and IPS and firewalls, that sort of stuff. We have a very, very interesting story to tell because we actually know the guys who write the signatures for the IDS and the IPS. Okay? We talk to them on a daily basis. We're different organizations, but we share intelligence back and forth. When we look at malware and we determine that a particular application is communicating with some sort of third-party server, I gather that intelligence. I can send it over to the wired IPS guys. They can write a signature in their wired network so that when this data inside the service provider network, let's say a Verizon or somebody has Juniper equipment inside their service provider network or their subscriber network, they can basically mitigate that communication inside the network before it even gets out of the Verizon environment because of the intelligence that we're giving them of the domains that they're communicating with and the SMS numbers that they're communicating with. We're able to share that intelligence. That's one thing that we can do, with the iPhone. Another aspect of that is we can actually work with service providers to create on-device applications in the iPhone that communicates with a back-end logging functionality inside their network. So let's say they may have a Juniper device back there that says that this iPhone is communicating with a known botnet. Apple may not give us the ability to put an application on there that can mitigate that communication or that traffic, but we can put an application on there that that back-end logging device just sends a message into the iPhone and says, hey, your device is communicating with a botnet. That gives us some sort of capability to deal with malicious communication with the iPhone that may or may not end up coming to fruition. Right now, that's really what we're doing with the iPhone. There's not a lot going on, mostly because they won't let us. We just don't have access to the APIs or access to develop those applications. We have an antivirus client for the iPhone. If you want to download it from Cydia, you're more than welcome.
Anybody else want to jump on? Great.
Just a quick question about your SSL VPN for the iPhone or for any other product. What are you guys doing for mitigating man-in-the-middle attacks against SSL?
I don't know the answer to that question with the SSL. Honestly, there is a team who does the SSL VPN for the iPhone. That is not us. And we're still working on getting involved in that relationship. We're not really sure how it happened. I believe it's from part of the initial relationship before S-Mobile was acquired. Those guys who did that development, I don't know what they're doing. I should.
Can I just follow up the general principle on man-in-the-middle attacks against SSL VPN?
Well, I'm not sure what they're doing. I think that they may be looking at. I don't know the answer at all. I really don't. I don't know what they're doing. They may not be doing anything at this point. Wish I had a better answer, but it's an entirely different team. But I can tell you that we actually have a call set up with those guys on Friday because we need to be tied in with them and we need to be communicating with them what they're doing with that SSL VPN. Yes, sir.
Well, unfortunately, I have another SSL VPN question. It's on the Android side. I see that Android support is available if your device is rooted now. Do you know if Juniper's making any inroads with Google as far as publishing those APIs?
Not with